Hello, Internet. Guess what? 0.H finally released. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit. And by that, I mean we're going to read the release notes probably because I'm a lazy YouTuber. But yeah, basically around 1 a.m. my time last night, 0.H was released. I guess there have been a few issues with it so far, just in terms of, like, I think Kevin said he uploaded the wrong version initially. That should be fixed by now, I would assume. And we have a lot of people asking questions about the stable. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through kind of the release notes here, and then we're going to talk about just some update information that people would be curious about. But yeah, before we do all that, I just want to say, congratulations to everyone who worked on 0.H. I don't think I personally contributed anything during that time period, so unfortunately I'm not counted. I think they backported the pincer mutation thing, but I didn't do that. Someone else did that work. But anyway, the point is, all the people who have worked on this project, all the players who submitted bug fixes, all the contributors, and of course the core dev team, that were working to polish and bug fix 0.H. Congratulations, we made it. It's been a longer development cycle this time around than in the previous years, but with everyone, it's a little hard to compare. Back when COVID, of course, was happening, a lot more people were at home working on the project, didn't have other things to do, so it was a much faster development cycle. But yeah, you made it, and just congratulations to Kevin and all the people who contributed. You should be very proud. That's another year. We have another release, and yeah, that's exciting to me. I think is exciting. Do you think it's exciting, Internet? So yeah, let's have a look at the release notes here. This is, I assume, penned by Kevin. Like I said, it was like 1 a.m. my time, says 17 hours ago. What time is it? Yeah, it's 4:30 my time. I can't do math, so we'll just say it was around 1 a.m. And it's 0. Herbert. We name our releases after authors, usually, I guess, sci-fi authors. It's not really hard to figure who Herbert is. I assume it's Frank Herbert, the Dune guy who he wrote Dune, which is not my favorite franchise, but has been getting a lot of buzz over the last couple of years with the new movies and things. So yeah, I assume, he's just a very famous man. That's a beloved franchise, whatever. It's the ones where humans, but they're not really humans, and then there's big worms, the one. The spice must flow, etc. Anyway, I'm proud to announce that the Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead 0.H Herbert release is here. With an 11-month gestation before forking and a 10-month delivery after forking, we once again utterly failed to limit the scope of work with a release. The 0.H development process has been the longest in many releases, packing in thousands of new pieces of content, massive performance improvements, and, in my opinion, more polished than we've ever seen in a CDDA release. This has been the longest development process, I think, since 0.D. Most of the other ones in the last few years have been, I think on the high end on the low end was like 4 months for a release once we kind of froze content, and then on the longer end it's been 6 or 8 months maybe, and then this one has been like 10 months basically from, I think in January they froze, something like that. We didn't freeze the same way as we did before, but anyway, a huge group of about 450 people contributed to this release, about 200 for the very first time this release. Altogether, we changed about 12 million lines of code and data across about 5,500 files, adding about 5,000 game entities in the core game and another 5,000 in mods. Tell me you were looking at the analytics without telling me you were looking at your analytics. Now this time around, we handled the release process differently, following a more traditional process where we called 0.H, quote, feature complete, all the way back in January of 2024, and moved it to a dedicated fork for bug fixing. Since then, we've created new infrastructure to manage the stabilization process. I have no idea what that is. Presumably we'll find that out in the future. We fixed many bugs and backported a limited number of key features from the experimental branch. Whether this new approach really hits its stride is yet to be seen, but I'm hopeful next cycle can be shorter now that the infrastructure is in place. Feature-wise, we've seen the addition of biomes, where traveling east now leads to larger cities to a point, and then the lands end in an ocean. Traveling west leads to sparser human settlements and more wilderness. Portal storms now spawn and move around on the map. You can either hunker down or move to avoid them, or chase them if you're so inclined, and an unprecedented amount of new and interesting content has been added to their chaotic mix. After years of hard work, 3D vision has improved greatly, bugs are few and far between now, and thanks to this feature we can see a lot more interactivity between Z levels. It still defaults to off, but you don't have to be afraid of it. Our accidental bespoke scripting framework, the EOC system, has been greatly expanded and many features have been overhauled to take advantage of it. This allows an enormous flexibility of events in both mainline and mods without ever touching a compiler. And yeah, if you're not familiar, EOC is basically a form of scripting, coding type thing you can do within JSON instead of the need for C++. Multiple new boss tier encounters have been added for late game challenge, though I don't want to spoil them here. Now you will know the fear of the night. Now you will know why you fear the night. The number of proficiencies has increased greatly for this version, roughly doubling the number of proficiencies you can learn, all with unique effects. We've seen an expansion of the proficiency framework in some of the directions desired initially, allowing proficiencies to confer more than just crafting bonuses. And yeah, that of course would be, we have weak points, for example, are non-crafting bonuses. Practice actions have also filled out, providing a smooth path for skill gain instead of grinding crafting or other activities. This version should see an end to repeatedly crafting and uncrafting a simple object to grind your skills, allowing you to automate the process to represent your character studying and practicing, spending character time but not so much player time. You'll also notice other savings in player time. We've found a number of places to speed up key code and drastically reduce waiting times, making for a much more responsive experience. Try it out, it's the best DDA yet. For more details on what all has changed, you can take a look here, but it's still not everything because there's just so much. And yeah, this is one of the main things people ask. They ask me, I guess, because I do the update shows, they'll say, oh, are you going to make a video covering all the cool stuff that was added in this stable? And the answer is absolutely not. Number one, who has time to look over thousands? You're out of your mind. I just can't do that. And the fact that they put together a changelog at all, I'm assuming this is somehow auto-generated because doing this manual, this is thousands of lines of lists of changes that have been made. And if we just pick randomly here, smashing corpses prevents them from reviving. Okay, I don't think that's a new feature in 0.h, but that's, that's something, I guess. Oh, these are super old. It's the changelog of all the stables. That's so cool. A full list from 0.6. That's so neat. I've never played the old versions. Anyway, so yeah, of course, I'm not making a video covering every change. That's insanity. Even the changelog that lists the changes doesn't cover every change. It would just be ridiculous to do that. But if we look at a few features here, well, first of all, the ones that he mentioned in this release statement here, the fact that we have 3D FOV, which is, if you're not familiar, it's a setting you can enable in the game that allows you to interact between Z levels. I completely forgot that this was worked on during this time period. It just feels like something we've had for a while now. But basically, let's say you're standing on a roof and you want to shoot down at a zombie, you can now do that, which is something that was previously not possible because our Z levels just didn't work that way. So that's pretty cool. The EOC system, that's something that's very behind the scenes that the average player has no idea exists at all, but it is a huge thing that's being used all the time now. I know Guardian literally, works with this system all the time to add basically code-like encounters without having to compile the game. Very cool thing. The boss tier encounters they mentioned, I'm still not a fan of that one particular late game enemy. I still think it's not terribly well balanced, but it is a new feature that exists in this game, or in this stable release, I should say. Proficiencies have been expanded, all that kind of stuff. Crafting at faction camps was expanded a fair bit, I believe. The addition of the ocean, as mentioned, is a pretty cool feature that I'm a big fan of, even though we still don't fully have the infrastructure to start the game at that location. So there's a lot of cool stuff that has come in the stable release this time around. Expanded grain farming and adjusting seeds. Yeah, I believe we got the mills for the first time in 0.h as well. This allows you to put grain in a windmill and it will spit out flour. I thought that was pretty cool. Collecting grappling hooks from the ledge above. Yeah, that would be the 3D FOV benefits. Martial arts to trigger on reach attacks. Yeah, there's of course there will be a link to these things in the description of this video if you want to take a look yourself. And then I wanted to talk a little little bit about releases because I've already seen a lot of people asking, like, well, can I play this here? Can I play this here? And first of all, if you are playing on PC, the easiest way to find and access 0.H is to come to our releases page. Well, I say our like I'm involved in this in any way. I will also link this in the description down below, and basically you will just navigate to the releases page. You will find the huge segment listed as Herbert here that we were just discussing. You're going to scroll down and you're going to see a list of releases, and you'll see some of these were updated already, and I believe again that was I think someone commented it was something about sound packs not working or something like that. I don't remember. But basically these should be up to date enough at this point that you can actually download them and play them. And it's the same as any other installation. You will just find the version that you want to play. You will click it, download it, and you have the game now. Pretty straightforward. However, if you are playing on Android, what I would recommend you do if you want to update to 0.H, I would suggest you come to this releases page, find the APK files that is applying to you, and download the APK, put it on your phone, whatever, and just install it using that file. I would not recommend you use the Play Store. I can't remember who runs our Play Store releases, but I know that they're not as frequent as the PC releases or nightly builds or whatever you want to call them. And we have actually two versions. One is green here. You'll see the green icon. One is red. I forget which is which. I think red is experimental and green is the stable. I have no idea if this has been updated yet with the new stable. It was updated on November 1st, 2023. I assume that that is 0.G and not 0.H here, so obviously has not been updated yet. So if you use the Play Store version, you're not going to currently get 0.H. I forget who handles all of the Play Store stuff, but this probably won't update. I don't know. I would assume at least for a few days. So the easiest way to get this, like I said, would be downloading the APK directly from our release page. And then the other major question that people have regarding releases is the Steam version. Of course, people are curious. This is the Steam version is stable only, so people naturally are questioning, hey, when are we going to get the new Steam release? And the answer to that is that I don't actually know. The Steam release is handled by one dev in particular who, I'm not going to insult them. I don't mean this in an insulting way, but they haven't been around as much lately. And so I don't know exactly what their priorities are, if they're super involved in the project still. I just don't see them very much. But I believe that someone said, like, hey, in the next week or so, they're going to look at this and try to get it updated. I've already seen people very angry that this has not been updated. My thoughts on this are complicated. I do feel like you expect the 0.8H release to be added very quickly. I would expect that if I had purchased this and that was my main way of playing. I would expect it to be updated very quickly. But at the same time, it's been like 15 hours. I think people need to chill with the anger related to, well, why isn't it updated yet? It's not set up to do this automatically. It does require, like, Steam is a little different and it is handled by literally one specific person. So until they do it, we have no control over that. Like, I've seen people already getting into arguments with Kevin. Kevin has nothing to do with this. Kevin doesn't control when Steam gets updated. The other devs have no control over this whatsoever. It's literally one person who has control over this and no one else. So even if we wanted to update this right this second, number one, we don't know how to do that because it's Steam. It is different. It does require like more work than just dumping it on GitHub. And then two, no one else has access to it. So it being updated is not a responsibility of the majority of the team. And so I do understand the frustration when you're like, I paid for this. I want the most updated version I can get on the Steam release, but it is something that, most of us have like no interaction with or control over. So I understand to some extent the frustration. I don't like how many people I've seen kind of swearing about it and being very aggressive about it, but at the same time, it's complicated. I get it, but it's not something we can fix right this second. And then what other version? There is an Apple version as well, which we never really talk about. Basically, if you play on Apple, you're not going to get access to this. I believe the person who added this to the Apple Store or whatever, like, why do you use Apple? Just buy an Android like a normal person. But if you use the Apple Play Store, whatever the hell it's called, it's not going to be updated. That was added. The version on that store is something that was added by a complete rando like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't think they ever updated it. I believe they did charge for it as well, which is kind of gross given that I don't think they were connected to the project in any way at all. I guess they did work to make it playable on Apple, so that's something that maybe they should get paid for that work. I have no real opinion on this. But if you play Apple, we don't have an Apple version. The Android version is maintained by the dev team as part of the releases, but Apple is not. So if you play, if you have an Apple phone, you're not gonna, if you have an iPhone, you're kind of out of luck here. And I think that should be everything. This came out longer than intended. The point is, and the big takeaway is, look, everyone who worked on making this thing happen, you should be proud of yourself. If you were a first-time contributor, of which there were many, you should be very proud because something that you made has made it into a stable release of a video game that thousands of people are going to see. And that's really cool. That's one of the things I love most about contributing to this game, is that thousands of people over the years are going to see what you made. Like for me, the dumb example and most visible thing I ever did was make the brainless zombies like 6 years ago or whatever, and now there's something that literally every player has seen throughout the course of playing this game. And that's kind of awesome, and you should be really proud of the things you contributed, and especially to the dev team, all the people who worked on 0.H over the last like 10, 11 months. You have been doing a lot of work that's very boring, bug fixing, backporting, polishing. That is hard work, that is not very rewarding, and whether other people appreciate it or not, you have my respect for doing those things. So thank you for your commitment, and you should be proud of yourself. But anyway, that's probably it for the video. Hopefully, many of you probably already knew this was released. You saw the announcements, things like that. Sorry, it came out like 1 a.m. my time. I couldn't really record to make a video. But for everyone else, all you stable players, this represents a huge milestone moving forward. You can now get access to the things you've been hearing about for the last year or so, or actually like 2 years at this point. And so, yeah, this is a good thing. So everyone, thank you for being here. Hopefully you're happy about this release. I certainly am. And I'll be back with more content soon. So have a nice day. I hope you're having a good day today. See you next time.